Hey everyone! Happy Friday night, TGIF! Alright, this is a super exciting stream for me because I absolutely love talking about fundies and fundamental Christianity and fundamental anything and cults and all of that good stuff. And there is a new show on TLC called Welcome to Plathville, which follows the family Plath. Do you like how I said that? Follows the family Plath. Barry and Kim Plath, who have 9 children, and ranging in ages, I think, from like 22 to like 6, I think. And it was slated to be sort of this feel-good, following a wholesome family in Georgia that has a family of limited technology, and the kids are all very godly and homeschooled, and everything's like amazing, and the kids are all super happy. And then the show starts and we realize that there is drama, like to the point where their oldest son Ethan and his wife Olivia are at the root of a massive family division between Kim and Barry Plath and the rest of the and Olivia and Ethan versus the rest of the family, because Kim and Barry Plath seem to have differing points of view about what they think of the way of life that Olivia and Ethan are choosing to lead. And it's made for some interesting commentary on the show because Olivia has been sort of helping their daughter Mariah, who is the second oldest of the girls. Their other daughter, Hosanna, is, I believe, 20 or 21 years old. She's already married to a man named Timothy and apparently is still very entrenched in this world. But Mariah, on the other hand, has, as they say, wired differently and wants to see the world, and so that makes her bad. And the way that the family kind of speaks about her and talks to her and says things like about how she's wild or she just wants to party, or there's a lot of like very I don't even know how to say it, like they're being super mean but they're not saying mean words. You know what I mean? Like, you know how like people get really passive aggressive and they're like, I don't know, that's all I can say is like wired differently, you can tell means like Mariah is possessed with the devil. I mean, that's in my mind how they're thinking, okay? My opinion. So obviously, being that I cover the Duggars, the sister wives, I have a keen fascination with cults. I have done stuff with covered Scientology. I was even dated a freaking Jehovah's Witness when I was in high school. Not even lying. Anyways, I have always had a keen interest in cults, and this is part of the Quiverful movement and also kind of part of the Institute of Basic Life Principles and kind of like the world of Michael and Debbie Pearl. You got that right. It's all intertwined. And Olivia Plath is the daughter-in-law and the wife of Ethan. And in this series, Olivia seems so worldly and so like completely out of, how did Ethan and Olivia get together? How did this guy that is so naive and so dorky almost, how did he land such a worldly and like vibrant, saucy young lady like Olivia? There's so many questions here. What do they have in common? How did they get together? What is really behind all of this backstory? Why is there such a big rift between them and the family? And so what I did is what I do best. And I actually reached out to Olivia on Instagram, mind you, and I made a comment on one of her photos, not sure if she was going to actually respond or not. And I found out amazingly that she actually had found my channel not long ago and loved what I was doing and loved my coverage on a lot of the fundie families. So she said, I fell in love with your channel. I would absolutely love to talk to you. And so I called her up and we had a 2-hour conversation, and I learned so much from her. And I just thought this would be kind of a fun place for us to talk about what happened, sort of the backstory of Olivia, how she met Ethan, and how this all happened. Because I feel like there's a lot of things that were left out in the show that we just don't know. Like, they make it seem like they don't get along because Olivia likes sugar and drinks alcohol. And there seems like there's something more to the story that we just haven't been told. There seems like there's more to this than just a difference over sugar and what they wear and that kind of stuff. I had the sense that as a viewer that maybe there was some sort of like theological difference. Maybe her point of view related to the Bible or to her Christianity was more liberal, more open, less oppressive, less quiverful. And we kind of just started from the start. So Olivia actually told me that she grew up in a legalistic home. She is the fourth of 10 children to her parents. Her parents actually did not grow up in this type of faith movement. They both had like their own world. Dad was, mom was a teacher. Mom had a life outside of all of this. Mom was never really into the religion side of things. Dad, she said, sort of stumbled into religion because he had some issues with alcohol and drugs. And what happened was he wanted to find a way to get away from that behavior. And so she said, when the pendulum swings, it usually doesn't land in the middle. And my dad went from one extreme to another. And he found a church that was very oppressive, and women were not allowed to talk. Kids were not allowed to talk. Girls were not looked at anything more than sort of a baby making machine, is what Olivia said. They're not allowed to have a lot of rights. The family unit is very, dad does everything. Mom doesn't have a lot of say in anything. The women have to have so many babies. And she said that she watched her mother struggle over the years of having so many kids so quickly, the depression her mother went through, sort of the isolation she saw of all of the women around her, the unhappiness she witnessed by women in the community, the patriarchal, like really misogynistic beliefs of the woman must submit to the man, the woman must say give in and allow her husband to rape her if she doesn't want to have sex. And she said that up until the time she was about 17 to 18 years old, she was very enmeshed in this world. And it was around the time she was about that age when she started to sort of question things. It was at the same time that her family actually also was asked to be in a documentary called American Family Revival, which I actually watched. Her family was featured in this documentary, which was all about the Quiverful movement. And her family was featured about halfway through, where they talked about their church. They live on a beautiful farm. Her mother talks about homeschooling the children. Her dad talks about, the value of that very fundamental life. She says that she is like not proud of being a part of that documentary. She doesn't stand for anything that is in that documentary. She's almost embarrassed and like sad that she was a part of it because it's so far from what she was, but she was so brainwashed at the time. And during that documentary, she actually talks about how she was so glad to have siblings because they showed her when she wasn't being obedient. Obedient. Really? Obedient. So she says that while they were sort of in this world, she was always looking for ways to get out and do fun things because she said it's very isolating. She was homeschooled. She didn't get to see a lot of things. She didn't get to go a lot of places. She was on a farm. And so she found a family summer camp that she wanted to go to. And she said initially her parents didn't want to go, didn't want to be a part of it. And then they agreed to go. And that's actually where she met Ethan in 2014. And the camp was actually run by Michael and Debbie Pearl. That's right, training up the child. And she said that after that 1 year at the camp, her parents never wanted to go back, never wanted to be a part of it. They did not want to follow any of the beliefs of Michael and Debbie Pearl, but that's where she met Ethan, whose mother, Kim, was very gung-ho and on board. And to this day, she said, Olivia alleges that she still supports Michael and Debbie Pearl. She writes reviews on the book. She's very much about training up the child. So she said that from what she understands, Kim did blanket training, sad, and that from what she understands, spanking was also done in their home. So this is a world of fundies. And so she said when she first met Ethan, she didn't really particularly like him. She said that he seemed rather immature. He kind of followed her around all the time. He was interested in her, had a crush on her, but she didn't really like him. And she said that, hold on, let me get here. I have so many notes. So Ethan had a crush on her. He was immature. Her parents did not like Kim and Barry Plath, she said. But she said Kim became absolutely obsessed with her and wanted so much for her and Ethan to get together, to the point where she would come and visit and say she was coming up for a few weeks to visit, to bring Ethan there. She said that she approached her after she had been singing and wanted her to help, like, find out how she could make the band, i.e. the Plath family band. She said initially they got along really well. Kim was super nice to her. She helped her build her first website. She helped set up some of her first social media. But she also said that it was pretty clear that Kim was looking for a way to sort of capitalize and potentially, in Olivia's opinion, seeking fame for her family. And over time, she said, eventually, she and Ethan become in a relationship. She really likes him. They really like each other. They come to having deep conversations where they both realize where they're sort of coming, like where they're both at. They both sort of want different things in life. Olivia starts to sort of separate herself from that sort of fundamental belief system and gets her parents on board. She even said that when she finally told her mom that she didn't want to live that way of life anymore, her mother was sort of relieved because her mother didn't want to live that way anymore either. And then they talked to her father, and she said that her father, after some time and some thinking, also decided, what the hell am I doing in this type of fundamental world? What have I done to my children? She even admitted that her father woke up from all of the brainwashing and apologized to her for what he put her through and what he put her siblings through. And that the only person that's in her entire family that's left in that fundamental world, she says, is her oldest brother. Everyone else is now out of it. And she said having gone through that and knowing that Ethan kind of wanted a way out of that sort of like bonded them. And they had a lot in common. They had similar upbringings. They both lived on farms. They both were brought up in that sort of same, like a lot of kids, a lot of this, a lot of that. And I thought that was really interesting because she said that as soon as she started pulling away, that's kind of when the relationship with Kim changed very, very quickly from Olivia being the amazing girl to she didn't like Olivia at all, and that Kim believed that Olivia was poisoning Ethan, was putting bad thoughts in his life, like in his world, taking things like taking him out of their bubble. And she says that the true rift with the family is not that she doesn't agree with eating sugar and this and that. She says that Kim and Barry literally think that she is possessed with evil spirits. That's what Olivia alleges. She says the root of all of their drama is because Kim and Barry say that she is possessed with evil spirits and she is poisoning Ethan, and she has also poisoned Mariah and Micah. And Mariah and Micah are allowed to spend time with Ethan and Olivia because Olivia alleges that Kim has said that she has lost them to the evil spirits in her. This is like poltergeist. Poltergeist, right? Evil spirits. So, anyways, she says that, as she's gotten to know the family and sort of been around them and, seen a lot of the things, she said she's learned a lot about what's been going on in the family. And she says having grown up in that sort of fundamental world, it was super important for her to be there for Mariah and Micah if they wanted to leave, because she knew how bad it was to be in that world, and she knew how brainwashed you are when you're in that world. And so she wanted to, because she had been there, be a mentor to them and show them like what life can be outside of that. And by no means did I get the sense that there were any evil spirits lingering in her at all. And it was actually kind of sad to hear that. And then, she's talking about how, she was talking a little bit about the house, right? So I asked her about, what was it like for Ethan growing up? Like, did he have a close relationship with his mother? And she said that Ethan said that the last time he hugged his mother, he was 12. 12 years old is the last time he hugged his mother. She said that the Kim that we're seeing on TLC is a very different Kim than what you see behind the screen. That she's kind of says some things that are not super nice. She's can be sort of stern. And I asked her about like what's going on with this sort of marriage, because in these types of movements, it does feel like the man is the one that's in charge, but I get the sense that this is really directed around Kim. And she said that it's really, even though Kim will say that it's the man should be in charge, in their house, it really is Kim that kind of calls the shots, and Barry sort of goes along with it. And interestingly, she said that Barry's family, like his parents and his siblings, are all super normal and don't understand how they got so invested into this world. Which got me thinking, like, what was it like? Did they go to church? Where were they going? And she said that Ethan told her that they didn't ever have a church. She said that they tried 10 churches in 10 years and could never find a single church that they felt matched their belief system. They weren't allowed to have friends. They weren't allowed to interact with people. The band was not about a fun family experience, but a lot of work for the kids that wasn't sort of something they absolutely enjoyed. When I asked Ethan, and something interesting she said was that what we're seeing on TV with the rift and those feelings, those visceral feelings that you're feeling from her about each other is real. She said that they don't have any relationship. She doesn't speak to them. They only speak, that they haven't spoken to them in, I think she said like over a month. They don't get to see the kids, which I think is coming up in this next episode. But prior to filming, they were not allowed to see the children. She said that Kim sort of approached them to be on the show, and Kim promised them, Olivia says, that if they came onto the show, they'd be able to spend time with the siblings, which is really what Ethan wanted. He wanted to spend time with the siblings. And she says that they still are not allowed to spend any time with the siblings. Kim, if she goes out of town, will take all of the kids with her because she's afraid that if they see Olivia will poison her with evil spirits. Yikes. So from what it sounds like, they say they're quiverful, but they're not in a church. They're not part of a church family. It's almost like it's not even really church. It's like they have their own thing going on. And I don't know if it's they think they're part of a church or they want to be part of a movement. As I'm like digging through more stuff and asking her questions, I'm like, so the kids don't get to watch TV. And like I said, I watched a documentary of Kim where she talked about all the jobs that the kids had. And I said, she said that Lydia always cooks and cleans and takes care of the house. And Olivia said, Ethan told me that he has never in his life remembered his mother making him a meal. Not once. And I said, so his mom doesn't cook, his mom doesn't clean, who does all of that? She said, well, it was Hosanna before Hosanna got married, and now it's on Lydia's camp to do everything. And I said, well, what does Kim do? And she said, Kim spends most of her time on the phone watching. And I said, what does she do on her phone? And she's like, I don't know. I think like she watches YouTube videos and does like social media stuff. So Kim, according to Olivia, uses her social media, watches YouTube videos, but then doesn't allow her kids to do any of that. And then she said that the stuff about the rules are really weird because she doesn't let the kids have sugar. But she told me this interesting story about her wedding where she was like Kim wanted them to have mints, like peppermints at the tables on the wedding. And she only wanted like organic mints or something. And Olivia said that she wasn't going to pay for that. And so Kim said she would buy them. Well, Kim ended up buying them and they weren't organic anyway. And she said that when they were done with the mints, it was like a 2-gallon thing of mints and there was a ton left. And she said that Kim took them home with her and the kids found her sucking on them. The kids found her like wrappers all over the floor. So Kim gets to eat sugar. Kim gets to be on social media, but the kids don't get to have sugar and the kids don't get to be on social media. And I was like, this just sounds like she just wants control to me. You know what I mean? Like, this sounds odd. So I'm thinking here, like, how is this all possible? Like, how did TLC get so bamboozled? Were they, like, tricked? Did they have, like... And she says that they really probably found them through the website, the Plath Family Band. And so what you're seeing on this show is really true in the fact that she says nothing is scripted. Sometimes there's like suggestions on conversations that you have, but it's all authentic. All of the conflict is authentic. She said that her friendship and mentoring of Mariah is extremely important to her. Her friendship with Micah and being there for them, making sure that they feel like they have someone because apparently they don't. They've sort of been discounted by the family, according to Olivia. And it made me break my heart. And she said to me, if I'm going to be on this show, I'm just going to speak up because I'm tired of not speaking up. And I'm not going to let anyone think that this is a certain way if it's not. And I'm going to speak my truth and I'm going to advocate for these kids. And it's going to be this way. And I was like, that's awesome. And she's like, it's probably not what they expected, but this is what the reality is. And I would just like, my mind is just blown thinking about so much of the fact that Kim has, in a way, maybe crafted some of this image to look a certain way, to potentially use it to gain fame. And I said, well, why would they want to be on TV? And she said, money. But apparently Barry has a super good job. Barry graduated from college. Kim went to college but did not graduate. And she's apparently just not really into like her kids going to college either. This is going to be interesting to see how this starts to play out. I'd love to talk to Kim to find out more about her, but I feel like there's got to be more. Like, I get the sense that from what they've said, I mean, I asked Ethan, like, why doesn't he have a relationship with her, with his mother? And Ethan said, this is what he said. She's selfish, she's stubborn, and she doesn't look out for anyone but herself. So is it Kim's world and they all just live in it? And her kids are isolated from the world because she wants control? Is it she wants, Olivia is like the fear that Olivia's open heart and kindness could potentially take the children away from her? Is that narcissism? Is that mental illness? Is that, I don't even know. So I'm interested to see how this all plays out. Now, and then there was a question about Hosanna. Apparently, there was never an offer for a scholarship for Hosanna to go to college. And Hosanna is very involved in this world. She's sort of a mini Kim, is what Olivia said. And Lydia is sort of a very people-pleasing type person, much like Hosanna. And she sort of describes, there's some kids that are not buying into this and others that are more people-pleasing. They don't want to rock the boat. They accept what their mother says. And she is just trying to help them not get out of the brainwashing. And she says that Ethan has grown so much in the last year. I noted that there was a big difference between him in the first episode and the second episode. And she said that he is just getting more comfortable as he's more acclimated in the world. He is making up for lost time. He's a really good guy. She said he's a really hard worker. He's really, she said that they have an amazing relationship, but it's been a tough year because she said that she knew it was going to be hard when she married him, but she didn't realize how hard it was going to be because of what she's up against with what's at their house. And I'm proud of her for I told her I was proud of her for using her voice to speak up. This is different than what we're used to seeing. I think she'll be a strong advocate because she's been in that world and she knows firsthand what it's like. She grew up in that world and she knows how to help kids leave that world. And if it's true that Kim and Barry think that she is possessed by evil spirits, and if it's true that they're not allowed to have friends, and if it's true that they're not allowed to, they don't even go to church, and they're really just kept isolated on a farm, to me, that sounds less about family unity and more about control and almost abusive and dark. And that's kind of how they described it. Dark. Selfish, stubborn, and doesn't look out for anyone but herself. I'm glad that Ethan has left. I'm glad that he has found a partner in Olivia. I'm glad that Olivia is using her voice to help Micah and Mariah. I'm sad to hear about Micah and Mariah being sort of discarded by the family. I'm sad that this is sort of what the reality is. Apparently this season is going to be 6 episodes. I don't know if there's going to be another season or not. It's doing well in the ratings. It's been a good hit for the TLC department. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But it does beg the question of how well is TLC vetting these families ahead of time if this is the truth? How well are they actually looking into the backgrounds? I mean, Kim, in 2008, she ran over her son, Joshua. It was deemed an accident by police. But there's still this very lingering question about how it happened, and they didn't want to talk to the police, according to an article I found online. They didn't want to be interviewed, and they just ruled it accidental, sort of on the scene. There's a lot of questions, and Olivia didn't know anything about that. She said Kim has never said anything about that to her. And I am mind blown. The fundamental world is odd. I always think of it as being all about control and somebody in their life not having what they needed. And maybe Kim didn't have what she needed or thought she didn't have what she needed growing up. I don't know. But what's going on there doesn't sound healthy to me if this is true. Obviously, I don't have Kim's point of view. I'm just sharing Olivia's. But I do think that Olivia's perspective is similar to the stuff I've learned about other families that are like this. And every fundamental family has cracks and they have skeletons. And it's just a matter of time for all of the families for their skeletons come out. We've seen that with the Duggars. We've seen that with the Willis clan. They all have their skeletons in the closet. And so this skeleton is just wide open. It just starts with the skeletons and they're just right there. But it confuses me with TLC is that, and this is not related to Olivia, but if they want to have these shows about fundamental people, my biggest question is, why are we putting them on air and then not talking about their Christianity? Why aren't you talking about their fundamental beliefs? Why are we just talking about their life? Because the reason why they're doing this is their biblical reasons. And so why aren't we talking about the harmful beliefs that they have about women, about children, about child rearing, about abuse, about marital rape, about women not having like any rights, girls rarely getting educated, so that all they are is basically a uterus to have children, to be vehicles, to make armies. Why aren't they talking about things? Why don't they talk about the very harmful beliefs that these people have about the LGBTQ and I did ask her in that episode, I said, was Barry and Kim's concern about Mariah going to San Francisco because of the LGBTQ community in San Francisco? And she said, absolutely. So she said that they are homophobic in her opinion, but that whole world is. So why is TLC sugarcoating all of this? They don't want to talk about theology, but they want to put the theology out there of the wholesome family. It's odd to me. If this is the learning channel, why aren't we talking about the theology that's making them be and do these really sort of extreme behaviors? So this is interesting. I was grateful to have the time to talk to Olivia. She was an amazing person to talk to. There's so much more, I think, in store for what's going to come up next in the next coming episodes. I was not able to tell you anything about the show. I promised her I would not say a word about the show or about anything that could potentially get her in cahoots with TLC. So I tried to keep it to you on the backstory. I hope that answered some questions, but it's not, I guess I understand more about why her and Ethan are together, and I'm really glad that Ethan and her have each other. It sounds like they are exploring this world together and becoming one together. So I say kudos to Olivia for using her voice, a voice we haven't heard yet in the fundamental world. I hope that we see more of this. I hope we see more advocacy against the harmful things and belief systems and how it harms women and children. And I'm glad to see her being kind of the renegade pioneer in that, because TLC has really dropped the ball and has overlooked so many of the bad behaviors that are in plain sight with the Duggar family. It's wide open with the Plath family, so I can't wait to see what happens in these next 4 episodes. But I will keep you abreast of anything new, and as always, I'll be back with more later. Bye, guys.